안녕하세요. 저는 김진영입니다. 저는 몬트리올에서 활동하고 있는 시각예술인입니다. Hello, this is Jinyoung Kim. I live and work in Montreal as a visual artist, and today I'll be sharing my practice and show you a little bit of my studio in Montreal. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this virtual studio visit series. Thank you, Korean Cultural Center, for this opportunity. This is my studio where I come to think and experiment new ideas. I moved into this space a few months ago, and my studio is located on traditional territory of the Kanien'kehá nation, known as Tiohtià, Montreal. I am grateful to be living and working here as a settler immigrant artist. Currently, I'm working on organizing documentations of a public installation that I have presented in May 2021. The title of the work is Sustained Temporary Condition. During the pandemic, I have collected objects around the city of Montreal to develop this work. With the onset of travel restrictions, all of my project plans needed to be redirected, and I decided to pay attention to things immediately around me. As a result, I have created this site-specific installation. Here are some documentations from the installation. It was presented at the Place Festival in Montreal as part of Festival Kissintaville. The objects here are common household things that went through a life cycle with someone before they were discarded or donated to me. I have arranged these objects in a pile as if those we encounter often on the residential streets in Montreal. With the ongoing rent increase and urban housing crisis in the city centers across Canada, especially during the lockdown, these piles appeared as a portrait of a city tenants who are not able to settle. The platform of Place des Festival was a perfect space to bring out the question from the audience on why these piles of intimate objects are on display. I wanted to raise questions and bring connections between people who can identify with their own experience of moving within and across the borders through looking at this pile. I have inserted photographs that I have taken during the lockdown into the assemblage to create a certain sense of intimacy and implicate personal history and narrative into the generic objects. The photographs added to the potential of activating the narrative of migration, human experience of displacement, and imaginations towards the future and the past of those objects that compose and accompany our contemporary living. Until just before the pandemic, I was invested in traveling back to Korea to revisit sites of memories and make work about those places. I finished a film called Survival 101 in case of complete disappearance earlier in 2020.
그 다음날 아침에 밝았는데 주변에 사람이 아무도 없어졌어. 밖에 나왔더니
다 피난을 갔는지
다들 없어져 버렸어. 사람들이. 그래서 우리 셋밖에 안 남은 거야. 그 다음날 아침에 그러면 그 상황에서 우리 셋은 어떻게 할까? 우리도 차를 몰고 어디론가 가야 되나?
가야지. 어디로 갔는지 사람들 어디로 갔는지 찾아야지.
그럼 일단 차 끌고 나가봐야 되겠지.
차 끌고 나가본다.
나가가지고
이 모든 거를 차에 싣고.
그렇지, 차에다 싣고.
그렇지.
The film has been in production since 2017 and require traveling back and forth between South Korea and Canada. It is a 20-minute long film that borrows from the form of thought experimentations as a way to engage with imagination and fictional situations in order to explore our hypothetical feelings towards strangers in a strange environment. The video documents a conversation between myself and my parents around the table trying to solve a fictional problem. The outdoor location that you see in the film is a city called Gwacheon in Gyeonggi province of South Korea. This is the city that we lived in until our immigration to Canada, and the place had gone through an urban redevelopment in 2018, which eventually erased the apartment complex that we used to live in.
왜?
찾아야 되니까. 이거 가만히 있으면 어떡해?
그러면 우리가 돌아갔다가 아무도 없어.
어.
그거 다시 돌아오겠네 집으로.
안 돌아오지.
안 돌아오지. 지금
우리
다
집에
우리
얘기 말하고
우리밖에
돌아와.
없는데
더 좋은 데를 찾아가 가야지.
안 돌아오고?
안 돌아오지. 이거 돌아와봐야 뭐 변할 게 아무것도 없잖아.
The footage is from my visit to the neighborhoods just before its gates were going to be closed to the public in order to prepare for its demolition. With the fictional framework, it was interesting to approach the reflections on loss and the encounter with the new world that we went through as a family in an hypothetical manner. We were far away from the site, but its physical erasure resonated with us deeply. Metaphorically, I thought of that loss as the end of the world, a world that we have departed from and will never be able to go back to. Lastly, I would like to thank everyone for joining me in my studio virtually, and thank you for watching.